Outer Orange. Hey guys, BuffettChew and I are back. Welcome back to another video. I'm OuterOrange here, and we are here today to discuss some prison. I have been brainstorming Brandgate's prison with the set 2 stuff. Set 2 releases tomorrow as of me recording this today. I have some sneak peek stuff, so I thought it would be cool to talk to you guys about it. So it's pretty much kind of like a brainstorming deck profile. I have the deck, because I haven't like spent enough time with it, I wouldn't like really say like it's like top tier, but it is a good profile to start with to kind of start figuring out what you can do with your deck, and that's kind of what I'm here to show you guys today. We're gonna discuss the deck, kind of discuss what it's currently capable of, and I'll even talk about some text, like some cards you can put in, some cards you can take out, and kind of even talk about like some ratios and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Of course, we have our ride line. Our ride line has not changed in my opinion. I don't think it's going to change anytime soon, as it lets you pretty much do kind of some cool stuff here. But here's the ride line. So we have the overdress starter that you pretty much just kind of want to use. Obviously, it's just the overdress starter. This is just something you want to start out with, so nothing too crazy here. Then we have the grade 1. This is kind of blue. This is pretty much the child deck girl. She lets you search out your prison. Obviously, since we are playing a prison variant of a Brandgate deck, you're gonna want this. She lets you pretty much get your prison, so this lets you search this. So pretty much you kind of need that as well, as it lets you do that. It does have a rearguard scale, but we're not running it for that, as this is our only copy. And then we have the grade 2. This is Rosette Pink. Rosette Pink is very necessary, as on Vanguard, she lets your opponent forcefully imprison a card from their hand into your prison, automatically starting up your prison stuff. So you always want to make sure that you get your prison going before you go into this card. If you make the mistake of not resting and activating your prison skill, you're gonna miss out on this. We of course run the Battle Princess Seraph Snow, our lovely lady right here. Very attractive, very beautiful lady. She is pretty much your main boss unit that you'll pretty much use majority of your skills and majority of your power output with her. She has a she's got 2 skills. One is during your turn, if you have 1 imprisoned unit, you get 10k, but if you have 3 or more, you get a triple drive. So something that people will try to deny you of. But she has a secondary skill, which is counter blast and imprison up to 2 units. So it's just something to keep in mind. You can imprison with her as well. I changed light, so there's too much for glare. But anyway, talk about the ride line as we kind of talk about other things. For the grade 3s, currently what I'm brainstorming just the 3 Seraph Snow. Really see a reason for anything else, to be honest. Like there really isn't anything that's a grade 3 that says please play me. For the grade 2s, the grade 2 slot is probably the most confusing slot I think for everybody right now. Nobody knows what to play here, and as I explained, I do have some like texts and stuff. This is the grade 1s, but in the grade 2s we do have like a couple texts. Primarily with the new stuff, like people just don't know what to do. You can run like Lamone, you can run more copies of Violet, or you can run Barrett Canary. And a lot of people just don't know what the ratios or anything about this, and I'm kind of still confused too. And I think as I play more, I'll kind of have a better understanding of the ratio. But for the time being, I'll show you guys where I'm currently going for. I run 4 turquoise, as I think the card is actually really solid. Getting 2 in prison for her is not too bad. Her skill pretty much indicates that during your turn, if 2 or more of your opponent's cards are in prison, she gets 5k. So that's pretty good. It's continuous. But her skill says when your opponent's card is imprisoned in your prison, is placed on rearguard, that unit gets negative 5k. Meaning if your opponent takes a card from your prison, the minute they place it on the board, it gets 5k less, which means that it just has less value. So this is really nice against like decks that want to hit. Any pokey type of decks will have a lot of trouble dealing with this card. This is where kind of like you can run more of these, but then you have to run less of other stuff, and it's just kind of to what you want to do. I do run 4 of the Rouge. This card is the card that we got in set 1. She's still really good in my opinion. You Soul Blast, you retire one of your opponent's front row rear guards, and then she also has another skill where she gets 10k if you guard with her. If you have 2 or more things in your prison, this has a 10k intercept and 5k extra power on both sides. So on your opponent's side, she is 15. But of course, if your opponent snatches their rear guards, this lowers. But again, then this goes up too. So you can kind of bounce between these 2 pretty nicely. Lastly, for the grade 2s, I run Violets. I run 2 copies right now. This is like the big maybe card. I'm really debating on where I want this card to be, as I have issues. I have good things and bad things to say about this card. So the full skill of it is when this unit is placed on guard circle, if one of your opponent's cards are imprisoned in your prison, you can Soul Blast 1, choose one of your units. It cannot be hit by a grade 2 or lower. So pretty much what's really nice about this is if you're going second, this isn't too bad, as you know, you can just have your attacks not be hit. But also, if your opponent has some really brutal grade 2s, at the top of my head I can think of Zorga. Zorga literally has a shark that forces you to guard awkwardly. You can make that not hit with this, and pretty much any grade 2 that just gets very lethal very fast. The Lennar is a good example. Deals with it very nicely, so long as it's in your hand. And I'm still debating if I want to up it to 4 and maybe lower like 1 and 1 of these. I'm really not too sure. Maybe running a 3-3-3 and, you know, maybe adding something else in. I'm not too sure about this card yet. And then, you know, there's also a big deciding factor. Instead of that, you can also run Lemon instead of her for that just extra on-hit pressure. But I don't know. Into our grade 1s, I run 4 Perfect Guards. The one that lets you Perfect Guard if you have 1 or less cards in hand. Definitely is not phased out. The only time this card will struggle now is against Zorga's Shark. Outside of the Shark literally says you have to guard with 2 cards. So if you guard with this, you still have to guard. The Shark nullifies like the PGs. But outside of that, like this PG is still like the best PG to have. I run 2 of Chofastud. Chofastud says Counter Blast, Soul Blast, and you imprison something, and if you have 3 cards in prison, you draw a card. And it's once per turn, so you can just keep doing this every turn if you want to. It's not too bad. I run it at 2. I used to run it at like 3. I kind of lowered it a little bit, just mainly because I don't think it's fully necessary. Like usually your draw is not too bad. I'm still debating on this card. Like this may go up to 3, and I may lower another card down to 3 and put this. But I'm still thinking about this. It's actually in my tech here. There's actually more copies of potentially this card. And actually, I forgot to talk about it, but Shadow Army is another good tech that I'm still debating if I want to throw in. I would definitely take out Violet probably for this, and probably, you know, take out some grade 1s to kind of make that just at its peak. If you guys don't know about the Shadow Army just gives you nice pressure on your like grade 2-ish turn, because you kind of have dead turns between grade 1 to 3. So like your grade 1 turn, your grade 2 turn won't be brutal, but your grade 3 turn will start being nice. And Shadow Army token just lets you start that sooner. And as I mentioned earlier, you don't counterblast in this deck, right? So this counterblast will not hurt you. You counterblast, but you counterblast so little that doesn't matter. So like running this is actually not too bad. 4 of the new guy, the Bagu Motor. I think this guy is like really, really good, and he in a way carries. I am still, so his skill says when 1 or less units are imprisoned, you can rest him to imprison something from your opponent's draw. Which is super nice because you can imprison triggers and imprison awkward things that your opponent doesn't want imprisoned. They'll be like, uh-oh, I don't need that, you know? My last card is Bobomine, and the only reason I have 2 copies of him is because I literally only own 2 copies of him as like a week or 2 ago. This card was like $17, something like that. I just haven't been able to touch it. He's a really easy skill though. It goes into soul and counter charges after it boosts, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, at the end of the battle it boosted. If you have an order zone, so you have to have an order zone for it, but you will always have an order zone, so it doesn't really matter. I kind of want to put it to 3 and lower 1 of these just to have that extra soul in case I need it, in case I don't persona ride. You do soul blast quite a lot, and eventually you will run out of soul. Granted, it's not like a huge issue, but it is something to think about. But I just run it at 2 for now, and I'll see kind of like where I want to take it. Anyway, but going into the orders, best order yet, in my opinion. This order's name is super long, called Moment of Capture Aurora Battle Princess 24-hour coverage. Very, very funny name. But very good card for a funny name. Pretty much you soul blast, and if your opponent has 4 or more cards in hand, you imprison something from their hand. And if you do that, if you have 3 or more opponent's cards imprisoned, you choose one unit that gets 5k. Of course, the main beef of this is definitely the hand imprisonment, as it forces your opponent to lower on their hand size on your beefy turn. They don't have a choice. Like once you play this, they have to do it, and if they have some important useful cards in hand, it has to go into their prison now. You say they're at 5 cards and you're now lowering them to 4. Already sucks. And if this is like end game type of pressure, like if you're already on like the end game situation, and you have your triple drive going, can they really guard like a 3 attacks with like only 4 cards? They potentially can if they're holding literally like 3 or 2 perfect guards, but they're gonna have a hard time, especially with a triple drive, and you have your rear guards attacking and all this stuff. So like this card is really good early. It's really good as a finisher. It's just overall good. This card like just makes everything better. And lastly, I do run 1 of the prison order card. This is just the actual prison itself, where your units go in here, where your opponent's units go in, and then they have to use certain skills to get their stuff back. But and then for the triggers, we want to run our 1 over trigger, one of the Brand Gate over trigger. Pretty good stuff. He literally doubles your power, doubles your crits, plus the million. I mean, card's kind of dumb, and especially with the triple drive. If you see this early on, it's kind of a good way to put the game set on. And then for now I run 7 crit currently. I think the reason why I run 7 crit is because of the fronts. If it wasn't for the new fronts, I'd probably push this to like 8 because I'm just a big crit person. 4 of the new front because the new front is just good. It says if your opponent is on grade 3 or greater, this gets an extra 5k. I love this card, as you can even run this in premium and the same exact effect will activate. So if you're going second, you have this in your hand, you're good to go. It's a 20k shield. It's literally a heal trigger guard. I love this card. It's just great for those. And then of course you want to run 4 heals. And that's pretty much kind of where my brainstorming of the deck is. And honestly, like I said, the only thing I might change out is I might get a Boboline to push here. And this card is like super big debate. And then running this at 4 is like my biggest question. And you guys can feel free, by the way, to comment and, you know, give your concerns, like what you think is like a better deck or a better version, what you've been brainstorming, as, you know, set 2 literally comes out like really soon. So maybe you have some ideas or some thoughts that you might think that are better, or just some ideas that might be more interesting, or even counter argue maybe running Violet, running her at 4, running Turquoise at 2, or, you know, whatever it is that is on your mind. Or how do you feel about shadow tokens? Like what do you think shadow tokens should be in the deck? You know, like just stuff like that. Like I said, I'm still figuring the deck out just along with you guys. I am about to take this to locals. My locals is on Saturday. It's Thursday right now, so I'll be going in with this. My Zorga deck isn't complete yet, so I'm not going to be taking Zorga. You guys can tell me how you guys feel about if you guys want to, you guys can also tell me how you feel about this card. This is the one that retires. Essentially, it takes a card out of your prison, out of your opponent's prison, puts into the drop. So it's essentially a way to retire. So how you feel about maybe more copies of this, or, you know, maybe putting Lamone back in, because I did have Lamone in here, and then as I started adding the new cards in, I just started taking Lamone out. And you guys can tell me how you guys feel about Lamone too. I'm back up here, but back with BuffetChew. But anyway, guys, that's all I have for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys are enjoying set 2 stuff, as we're really close. Set 2 is right around the corner for all of us overseas that are not in Japan. So that's super exciting. Hope you guys are ready to build your decks. If you are about to build your decks, what are you building? What are you gonna build? What are you building? I'm building Zorga and Prison. So what are you building for your set 2? What excites you? What's your go-to deck for set 2 of OuterOrange? Please feel free to tell me in the comments below. As always, please like, subscribe, comment, do all that fun stuff. Thank you so much for all the support, all the love. It's been really fun talking to you guys about Vanguard as always, and thank you so much for everything. And as always, peace out and das vidanya, and see you guys next time. Bye!